Have you ever really stopped to think about what happens when you go online? I mean, every single search, every click, every show you stream, it's this tiny, invisible, high-speed journey that zips across the entire globe. So for the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain and demystify the incredible path your data takes every single time you connect.
It really does feel like magic, doesn't it? You type a web address, you hit enter, and poof, the site is just there. But that little split second is absolutely jam-packed with an incredible sequence of events. So let's follow that click and see exactly where it goes.
So where does this whole thing begin? Well, it's not on some far-off server in a data center. Nope, it starts right where you are. Every single thing you do online, whether it's sending an email or liking a photo, starts its life right inside your local computer network.
At its most basic level, a computer network is really just a bunch of devices. You know, your laptop, your phone, maybe a printer, all connected and talking to each other. You can think of it like a small digital neighborhood, where everyone can easily pass information back and forth. But to fetch a web page from across the world, your request can't just stay in its own little neighborhood. It has to travel out into the wider world. So let's take a look at the actual hardware that makes that leap possible.
Okay, so this table kind of maps out the different scales of our journey. Your request kicks off on your local area network, or LAN. Now, if you're on Wi-Fi, it's technically a WLAN, a wireless LAN. From there, it needs to get to its destination on a wide area network, a WAN. And the internet, well, that's just the biggest WAN of them all.
So how does your request get out of your house and onto the internet? Well, you can thank your router for that. Think of it as the local post office for all your data. It takes the request from your device, sees that it's addressed to the outside world, and sends it down the right path to get out of your home network.
The router then hands that request off to your modem. So if the router is the post office, the modem is kind of like the mail truck. Its job is to translate your digital request into a signal that can travel over the physical lines, cable or fiber, that are provided by your internet service provider, or ISP. Your ISP is the company that literally builds the on-ramp to that global internet highway.
All right, so your data is on the highway. Now what? How does it know where to go? I mean, the internet is unbelievably huge, but it has this brilliant system of addresses and routing rules that works just like a global GPS for data. This whole navigation system starts with something called DNS, the domain name system. And honestly, the best way to think about it is as the internet's phone book. We humans, we remember names, right? Like Google.com. But computers, they only understand numbers. DNS is the service that looks up that name and finds the right number for your request to call. And you can see that translation happening right here. You type in the easy-to-remember domain name, and in the background, DNS instantly finds its matching numerical IP address. That number, that's the actual destination your data needs to find. And that's the key. Every single device connected to the internet, your computer, the server hosting the website, absolutely everything has a unique IP address. It's just like a digital street address. It tells your data exactly where it needs to go and, just as important, where to send the information back to. Now, this is where it gets really, really cool. Your request isn't sent as one big file. Instead, it gets broken down into thousands of tiny pieces called packets. As you see here, each packet is like a single postcard from a novel you're trying to mail. They get sent independently, and they can even take different routes to get to the same place. Once they all arrive, they get put back together in the right order. This whole process is called packet switching, and it's what makes the internet so incredibly fast and resilient. If one postcard gets lost, you only need to resend that one card, not the entire novel. Pretty clever, right? Okay, so your little army of packets has raced across the globe and arrived at the destination server. What happens next? Well, the journey's only halfway done. Now that server has to figure out what you want and send the web page all the way back to you. This whole back and forth conversation is called the client-server model. As you can see, your web browser is the client. It's making a request. And that powerful computer hosting the website, that's the server. Its entire job is to just listen for requests, find the right data, the text, the images, the code, and serve it back to you. It's like you, the client, ordering a specific book from a massive library, which is the server. So, now that we understand this incredible journey, let's talk about being a smart traveler. The internet is an amazing place, for sure, but it has its fair share of dangers and, roadblocks. So let's see how we can navigate it safely and fix problems when they pop up. You've probably heard of these before.
Nasty viruses, tricky phishing scams that try to fool you into giving up your info, and of course, the risks that come with using unsecured public Wi-Fi. Just being aware that these things are out there is the first big step to staying safe online. Okay, this right here is one of the simplest but most powerful tips for staying safe. Before you type any sensitive info into a website, just glance up at the address bar. If it starts with HTTPS, that S stands for secure, and you see a little padlock icon, your connection is encrypted and safe. If it just says HTTP, no S, no padlock, be careful. That little padlock is your best friend on the web. Seriously.
And here are a few more must-do habits. Use strong, unique passwords for all your important accounts. Make sure your computer's firewall is turned on. It's like a digital brick wall against intruders. If you're on public Wi-Fi, using a VPN is like an invisibility cloak for your data. And finally, please, back up your important files. It's the ultimate safety net.
And what about when things just stop working? We've all been there. Before you call for help, just run through these simple checks. First, the oldest trick in the tech book, because it works. Restart everything. Your computer, your router, your modem. Next, double-check that every single cable is plugged in snugly. You would be shocked how often that's the problem. So, there you have it. From a simple click in your living room to a server thousands of miles away and all the way back again, all in the blink of an eye. The internet is a genuine marvel of engineering. And knowing how it works doesn't just satisfy our curiosity, it empowers us to use it better and more safely. So the real question is, now that you know the path, how will you make sure your journey is a secure one?